Hello, Tamara here. Nice of you to join me. And a very warm welcome to my channel. It's lovely to have you here with me today. And today I'm going to do something that I've wanted to do for a while, but just never ever done one. And I'm doing it because over on Memories Papers Art, which is my Facebook group, our theme this month for our book swap is a pop-up feature in your albums. So this is called a never-ending card, and I've never ever done one before, and I've seen them and thought, oh, that looks good, but you know what it's like, you kind of put that into your head and then something else takes over and then you forget all about it. So I thought it would be a good time to learn how to do them. So I've done a 6x6, but you can also do an 8x8, but the measurements are slightly different. So, but for the 6x6, how it actually works is you've got one side, there's no end and no beginning, so that's 1, then that's 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're back to the start, and then you just keep turning and it just keeps folding. It's like one of those, it's kind of mind-boggling as you're doing it, because it just carries on, never-ending card. So how do we do them? We need to have some 6x6 cardstock, and you'll need to cut 2 of these out. So you've got so you cut the 2 out first. Let me cut out the 6x6 first. And again. So now you've got your 2 6x6. Now what we need to do is we need to cut these in half. So we're going to cut them at 3 inches. So you end up with 4 pieces of card. Now what we need to do now is we need to put our score lines in. So we're going to score along the short edge at 1.5 inches, and then you need to move it down and then bring it down to the 4.5 mark and score again. Okay, so you've got 2 score lines, but you've cut your card into 3 pieces. Sorry, you've scored your card into 3 pieces. Now you need to do that with all 4 pieces of your card. Okay, like so. Now you need to fold these all over. You need to fold them both ways. So because they are going to actually they are going to be able to fold all ways. So I'm going to fold these ones over, and I will burnish these down as well. I'm just getting that fold line in. Now this this cardstock comes from Lime Tree Crafts here in the UK. It's fantastic. This particular card that I'm using is a 220 GSM, and once you've put your pattern paper on the top, it's a really sturdy card, and I have never had any cracking or feathering or anything like that. It scores beautifully, it really does. It's like a smooth, it's very smooth. Okay, so once you've scored your 4 pieces of card, you've got 1 or 2 ways you can do this. Now, if you want to have more bigger squares, then you need to just use your pencil and and your ruler. And on 2 of them, on 2 of the rectangles, you need to cut them, or not cut it in half, but mark it in half. So at 1.5, turn around and mark that at 1.5 again. Now that line there is where I'm going to, so where I've put my pencil lines there, that line there, that square, you're going to put your double-sided tape up to that line, and again on this one, okay, like so. So the double-sided tape goes up to that line in a square, and then you would do that on the one that's going to go at the bottom as well. Okay, so you do that again on here, mark up 1.5, and then put your tape in the bottom 2 corners of this piece, and this one will be the top 2 corners. But if you only want a few of the squares, then you can score your 2 of your pieces in half at 1.5. Okay, only 2, so we're going to score that at half. Okay, move that out of the way. So what it will create, I'm going to just quickly bring these in. So scoring them in half like that will create this type of effect. So you've got more pieces, so you've got more rectangles than squares. So you'll have one page as rectangles, and then you'll have 2 as squares. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in this one you've got your 6 squares. Okay, so I'm going to do the one where I score them in half. So I've scored them in half. This is how you're going to place your pieces. Now don't score these just yet. Sorry, not score them. Don't fold them just yet, because I found it's easier to get them lined up if they've not been folded. So as I've marked these two squares, I'm going to put them at the top like so, and then my ones that I've scored are going to go the opposite way. So 2 pieces are vertical and 2 pieces are horizontal. So again, I'm going to put my double-sided tape, but I'm going to put it on this side. Okay, so I'm going to put it on these top 2 corners, on the outside corners. I get that right. So just put it down to your scored line. So you've got your scored line going down, and then you've got your scored line going across. We just need it in that little square, like so. 1, 2. This one is a bit more harder to rip, so let me just take that excess off. Okay, so pokey tool at the ready, and take this off. I'll get there in a moment. There we are. Okay. Now, remember, these ones are going to go downwards or across, whichever you want to, and then the other ones are going to go horizontally. And what I might do is just turn them round so that I've got these at the bottom, and then I might be able to see it a bit better. And then this needs to go so it's at the top. So from the one corner, I'm just going to pinch that bit down, move that down because that's moved. So I've gone ahead and put my double-sided tape on the bottom 2 corners now. So it's up here is where I've stuck it the first time, and then I've just put it onto the bottom 2 corners of those 2 pieces there where I scored in the middle. So taking off your double-sided tape, the backing, not the tape, and then the next piece is going to just butt up to that edge. Actually, I'll turn it over and then you won't get confused. So butt it up to this edge in the middle, which is your other piece, and then just burnish that down. Okay, now comes the fun part. Now you need to fold them over so that we get everything folded nicely, like so. You may need your bone folder for this. Like so. And then that is that one done. Okay, so the other way is where you don't score them. As I say, you don't score, you just do your pencil line, and then that way you would end up with a few more of bigger areas than you would if you just did it if you scored the line. Okay, so once you've done that, it's now we can go ahead and cover it. So I'm going to start with the rectangles and the squares on. So I'm going to use that paper again, and this is just a 6x6 paper pad that I have, which I've had for a long time, as you can see by how much it was. And it's the Activist by Frank Garcia, and I absolutely love it. It's really nice, so I might not use that one. Let's have a look what other ones I've got. Let's go with another Prima one, which is the Bella Rouge. To cut your pattern paper, you're going to need these measurements. Now, you've got a choice. You can either have a 1/4 inch border, or you can have a 1/8 of an inch border. I'm actually going to cut the 1/8 of an inch border, and these are the measurements you're going to need. So for each rectangle, it's going to be 1 3/8 by 1 7/8, and you're going to cut that measurement for every rectangle you have. Then for every square, you're going to cut these measurements, so it'll be 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. Then we need to turn over. Now the little squares, they are 1 3/8 by 1 3/8, and then this is your 2 7/8 by 2 7/8, 2 7/8 by 2 7/8, 1 3/8, 1 3/8, and then we're back to the beginning. So here, so these are your 1 3/8 by 2 7/8, okay, and then these ones here are your squares. Okay, so we're going to start with our paper. So as I say, we're going to start with the one that's got the 4 rectangles on and the 8 squares. Now for that, I tend to do it. Now you can cut these out beforehand if you don't want to have a pattern pieced paper, but I like to do them as I go, for the factor of then I can paper piece my pieces together. But if you've just got your just normal paper and that cardstock you don't want to, you would need to do 4 rectangles and 8 squares for that front. So I always work from the left to right. It just makes it easier for me. So you'll need to cut this at 1 3/8. Okay. The next one is 1 3/8. Okay. 2. The next one is 1 3/8. And so is the last one. So I've got them there so that I know that they are all in order, like so, and then you just get rid of that little piece there. So that's all my ones in order. So working again from the left hand side, we're going to cut this at the first one at 1 3/8, 2 7/8, and 1 3/8 again. Now I'm going to ink my edges. So coming on to the next one, again it's the same. So 1 3/8, 2 7/8, and 1 3/8 again, and then do that with the last 2. Right, unfortunately the ending of my video didn't record. I'm just so annoyed that it didn't. I forgot to press record. So I'll just go through what I've done. So we got up to doing our first page here, and I'd given you the measurements to do this last two strips here on your page 1. So then I turned it, actually I got that the wrong way, so it's that way. So as I turned it over, then this is my next page, or next part of the never ending card, and these will be the measurements. So if I put this on here, as our never ending card sits there, I'll write the measurements down the side. So for this side, because I'm going to go from left to right, so I'm working from this side, this is be 1 3/8 by 1 3/8. This will be 2 7/8 by 1 3/8, and again this is 1 3/8 by 1 3/8. These two in the middle, so your squares are going to be 2 7/8 by 2 7/8, and then these measurements here, you're going to translate them and put them over here. And I didn't, this one, yes, is there. So those measurements there are going to be down this side here. So then we turned it over and up. Now what I did with this one is I had 2 pieces of paper, and I just paper pieced them together and missed out the corners, so that it just all worked together. So the measurements for this side, so I'll turn that over, are going to be this side here, so left to right. This is going to be your 1 3/8 by 2 7/8. Okay, working down this line here, it's 1 3/8 by 1 3/8. 1 3/8 by 1 3/8. Okay, so that's that there. So those measurements there are going to translate again over onto this side. Okay, so exactly the same measurements. So then turning it back, and then we get to our squares again. So this on here, so you've got 4 rectangles. So those 4 rectangles are 1 3/8 by 2 7/8, and your 2 squares are 2 7/8 by 2 7/8. Okay, and that's that page there. And then we're back to the front. So as you can see, I paper pieced everything, and yeah, it just didn't record. So that then is the the never ending card. So thanks again for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and comment and like, and hit that notification bell as well. Down in the description box there is all my links to all my social medias, so please don't forget to check them out as well as a link to the Memories Paper Art Facebook group on obviously Facebook. So don't forget to come and say hi on there. Whatever you're doing, please enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you again very, very soon.